Alright, so it's been a while. It's been quite a while actually. As most of you know, this has been a really bad year, but I've had to change gears quite a few times. So let's get into it. I decided to pull the stock 2J GE back out of the barn that was originally in the Lexus. And get that prepped to do a 1.5 JZ. Since my 1J that blew up, the head was salvageable. I took the head to a local machine shop and had them go over it. I had them deck it, resurface it, make sure everything was good. It was warped a little bit in around cylinder 3, where I had my implosion or explosion, but that actually turned out really well. As you can see, he reground all the valve seats on there as well, so that's all good. Like I said, cleaned it up, and I didn't get this put back together yet. I'm still waiting to get the Brian Crowder, the springs and retainers, to do their 272 cams, and I have not bought them yet. They will be coming eventually. And the block, hopefully soon here, I will be taking that to the machine shop too, now that I have all my internals. I'm going to be taking that and having it bored over 20 thousandths for the what is it, 86.5 millimeter pistons. Getting the deck resurfaced as well, since there was a little bit of pitting. The block had close to 200,000 miles on it, so it was kind of time to do that, but everything else is good. So now now that winter's here, I'm going to start and assemble things. So, but this video is mainly just going to be going over the pile of parts that I have, plus a couple other things that I got done, and a few more plans. So let's get to it. First, to start off, Real Street. Got a good deal with them on rods and pistons. I went with the Manley H-beams. Again, Real Street. Mo hooked me up pretty good, got me all squared away. If you're in the market for them, Real Street is very knowledgeable on the JZ platform. Any of the guys there can definitely point you in the right direction on what exactly you need for your power level and just your overall build. So they all come with their small and big end weights, which is nice when you go to balance a motor or the rotating assembly. But yeah, typical H-beam. It'll definitely do for my power levels that I'm heading for. Next up is the pistons that I also, like I said, got from Real Street. They're the Manley forged. Again, nothing fancy, but I went with the 9.0 to 1 compression, just because between getting the block decked as well as the head and some other things, I wanted to have a little bit of safety there, because again, nowadays with tuning and whatnot, you can run quite a bit higher compression, especially with E85, and be safe. But I wanted to stay about 9.5, so that should keep me in the ballpark and be good. Now, also one thing that I covered in my previous 1.5 JZ video, there's going to be some specific pieces that you need to do when doing a 1.5 JZ versus just a 1 or 2J. But I had to buy a new oil pump, anytime you're rebuilding the motor, I would strongly suggest putting a new oil pump in, just as some safety. I mean, especially if you had a failure, buy a new one. But I had to get a new one for the 2J block because I'm running a VVTi head, or VVTi in general, so you need the crank sensor, which a VVTi oil pump has that. I didn't go with an OEM Toyota oil pump. I just grabbed an Asen. I'm going to try my hand at modifying this. There's plenty of write-ups and videos on YouTube on how to do it. I didn't want to try it with a little bit more expensive oil pump, so if I screw this one up, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, like I said, this has the crank sensor, which you need to have for VVTi. So, new guy, we'll see what happens with it. I'll probably try and do a video on modifying that itself. Not as exciting, but I just went with some ACL race bearings. You know, when you're rebuilding this sort of stuff, replace all the bearings. Main and rod bearings. You also got the ACL thrust washers. Sometimes guys on budgets tend to reuse the thrust bearings or thrust washers, but new ones of them going into. Again, some more not so exciting, but just all ARP hardware, from head studs to flywheel bolts, a handful of other stuff, all ARP. I'm still trying to find the proper ARP part number for valve cover bolt. They're actually studs with nuts, but I haven't 100% confirmed that they will work, or the proper length for the valve covers on the 1J VVTi head. So I'm trying to go after them. If anybody knows, please let me know. And then also, one thing I found interesting, I grabbed the this HKS fine-tune timing belt, which you need one for a 2JZ when doing a 1.5 because of the extra deck height. These are actually made, this is actually a Gates belt. You can see that there. So I thought that was interesting. So you're actually paying a little bit more money for what I'm assuming is just a Gates belt. So also that came from Nengun Performance, which pretty cool store. They got a lot of really neat stuff over in Japan. Another thing I also started compiling some parts for are the CD09 swap. I did pick up a JK40C, I believe it is, CD09 from a 370Z, probably about 4 or 5 months ago, that already had the bell housing cut, an adapter, and J2 bell housing. So I've been starting to try and find parts where I could at decent deals to get stuff ready for that, even though that's a little bit further down the road than obviously the motor. But a guy local to me had this 850 twin disc clutch and flywheel, a lot of the setup for it that I got for a good price, and it actually has been just rebuilt. There's only maybe a couple 100 miles on it, so the plates are just broke in, as well as a tilt and throwout bearing. Pretty simple, but like I said, it's just I also started getting a handful of parts together, just like I said, nothing spectacular, but AN fittings just to do a catch can setup, because I did have my valve covers. I had bungs welded on them for doing 10 AN lines right off the valve cover to a catch can. I haven't got a catch can yet, but like I said, it's just little stuff that along the way I'm getting together. But as far as these fittings go, if you've ever heard of Monkey Fab Garage, they are great prices. The owner is really cool. They stock everything and it ships pretty fast. So if you have any sort of AN line needs, fittings, bungs, everything, like weld-on fittings, head to them. I'll put all the links down in the description for all this stuff. Now, I also took a handful of stuff to get powder coated that I recently got back, and turned out really good. So I brought just a couple things over here to show. But first one, the intake manifold, actually turned out really good. It's like a black with a purple flake. Turned out really good. I'm happy with that. And then the valve covers. Beautiful color. I forget the actual names for these colors. It's something weird, but again, I'm really happy with them. Local guy did them. Turned out amazing. So other than that, handful of other stuff. Just got new Corbeau harnesses for the car. Try and get rid of the pretty unsafe garbage eBay purple ones that I had in there. Picked these up from a local guy for a good price. So it's, again, I'm just trying to you know, snag this little stuff up when I can find it. Let's see here. I do have the block again ready to go. I don't know if you can see it here, but you can still see there's a touch of pitting that I'm not happy with just sending it on. So that's why I'm definitely having this decked, and then, you know, these cylinders honed out to 86.5 millimeter for the new pistons, just to make sure everything's nice and straight. Crank's all good. When I disassembled the bottom end of the 2J, like I said, there was about 200,000 miles on it, and everything looked beautiful. All the bearings were perfect. I was very surprised, but I did have to, this is the front sump that came on the 1J originally when it was imported. I don't even think you can give these things away right now, but I did have to buy a new rear sump setup, unfortunately, because when the 1J blew up, it broke a couple things, and if I could, I ended up finding one for a really good price, and currently prices are sky high because of COVID tax on JZ stuff, and I'm not paying $800-900 for a new rear sump setup. So I got that ready. That's not over here. I am actually in my shop differently because I have the car back at my house in the garage for the winter. I've got parts between here, my house, and the other shop that all the other videos are at. So everything's kind of spread out right now just until I get everything sorted, and I'm trying to compile everything so that I can put the motor together all in one shot, and I'm not waiting on parts, this and that. So I have everything kind of tucked away for the winter because, again, with COVID, work's in and out, and things are progressing slower than I would like them to be. But whenever we do start, I want to hit the ground running and really nail this thing together good. But again, I'm in here, and usually only do bike work in here, motorcycle, stuff like that. So it's a lot tighter cramped. I'm not building the motor in here. I don't have an engine stand or crane or anything to get it in the truck and whatnot. So I'm just gonna be doing little stuff in here, maybe do a couple extra videos and whatnot from here. So yeah, more updates to come.